This episode of Historic Moments, we're going to talk about German fish in Chinese boxes, UV bots on the prowl, and restaurants in trouble. Welcome to Historic Moments with Lindsay. I'm not here to report news, I'm here to start a conversation about the events that are affecting your life. This episode is for the week ending May 26, 2020. All right, first item, as reported by NPR, Germany is struggling to meet the farm labor demands after closing its border. And obviously that made sense to close the border, help slow down the spread of the pandemic, especially coming into Germany. But now what that has done is left Germany without the seasonal workers that they use on the farms. And that's much like the case here in the United States, where we use a lot of seasonal workers on the farms to get the produce to wherever it goes, to the stores, to the manufacturing plants, and so forth. Normally, Germany pulls in about 300,000 workers to do that work. Right now, the government of Germany has a program. They're trying to bring in 80,000 migrant workers, but that's still only about a quarter of the workers that they would normally have, which translates into a quarter of the food that's going to get to where it needs to get without some sort of program in plan to make up for those migrant workers that they haven't been able to pull in. What that also means is there's about 220,000 workers who are out of work for at least this part of the year. And I mean, this scenario could be replaying itself several times, which means they could be out of work for a much longer period of time. So, as with everything we've been seeing with this pandemic, we have an event, which is the pandemic, and then we have an action, which is the closing of the borders. And then that becomes an event that there's repercussions for that. So, a lack of migrant workers to be able to do the work, which means less economy, right? The Europe is going to suffer because there's less people pulling in a paycheck for working on the farms, and there's going to be less food down the road. So right now, they're not going to see that impact, but by fall, there's going to be an impact because there's less food. All right, less food, higher prices, and we've seen already here in the United States the whole toilet paper shortage, and that was crazy because there wasn't a shortage. There wasn't an actual shortage of toilet paper. The manufacturers were still making toilet paper. It was a fake shortage because a lot of people went out and bought way more than they normally buy, leaving nothing in the stores, which then created a panic, which then actually meant we didn't have toilet paper in the stores, and it's kind of taken a while. Now, recently, I've kind of seen the shelves getting better. It's not such a problem. People can get to the store, usually somewhere, and get some toilet paper. But food, yeah, here we're going to be talking an actual shortage. There will be less food, and it could be a significantly less amount of food. And it only takes a small amount of a shortage for people to panic and to do a run on the stores. I mean, if you are down dairy products by 10%, that can create a panic that wipes the shelves out, that empties all the shelves in the stores, just like we saw with the toilet paper. So this is a thing that we can see coming up again, possibly. I mean, hopefully not. I hope we don't. But I got to say that I'm predicting that we probably will. We start missing some food items, people are going to get even crazier than they did when they didn't have toilet paper. All right, and then they also have some developers in Germany that they're using an app to combine the unemployment in the city. So they're looking to hook up people who are in the city who are unemployed because of everything that's going on now and get them there with the farmers so that they can replace the migrant workers. So that's an interesting dynamic because that's a shift away from working in the city that we've seen that's predominant right now, and maybe a return to a lifestyle that we saw decades ago, where more people working on the farms, less people working in the city. And I think I mentioned last week or the week before similar things. We are seeing things that, in my mind, make me think of lifestyles we were living 30, 40, 50 years ago. Are we going back towards that? Is this pandemic going to force us back to a lifestyle? And I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. Working on the farms isn't a bad thing. All right. And maybe some of those jobs that we're losing, some of those obviously we can get away with. Vital jobs are going to stay in place. Jobs that if we have less money, less disposable income, we can do away with. Okay, those are going to suffer. So those are luxury items. And it does reflect that with less, luxury items, then life isn't as joyous and happy as we would like, and prosperous as we'd like. So it'll be interesting to see this fall how things are going to turn out. It also means that there could be a lot of unpicked food rotting in the fields. I mean, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about? I mean, to me, that's crazy, right? You'd be going to the store, and like, man, I want some lettuce because I'm going to make sandwiches or a salad, and they don't have enough lettuce. But you know that over there on the farms, there's fields and fields full of rotted lettuce that no one was able to get. All because we didn't get workers to the farms to pick that food. All right, now what does that make you feel? Do you think that's likely? I'd like to hear some comments. Please comment on any of my shows. Leave a comment. What do you think? Is what I'm suggesting reasonable, or is it just crazy? And that's just a sign of me as a writer coming with fanciful ideas. All right, next item, kind of related. I pulled it in because I felt that it is. And you'll see this picture, you'll see shipping crates. These are Chinese shipping crates sitting on the docks in Los Angeles. This was reported by the LA Times. All right, so there's product, lots and lots of products sitting there. In a lot of cases, what's happening is people just can't afford to buy the goods anymore, right? The economy is down. Luxury items aren't being bought. Frivolous items, people are out of work. So you know what? You're saving your money up because you want to eat. You want to buy toilet paper. That's not funny, but in a way it is. All right, so they're sitting there. Now, part of it has to do with the embargoes that President Trump has set up. A lot of it has to do with just we can't afford it. Depressed economy means people can't afford many of the goods. Okay, so how long are they going to sit there? I mean, because it's got to cost money for those shipping crates to sit there every day, right? And then eventually they got to bring them back. At some point, does China say, you know what? We're going to make you a deal. Just buy them at our cost, just because we don't want to lose money on it. Or maybe even less than cost, but like because we just can't afford to lose more money than this. All right, that could be the case. And I thought of that, and what it reminded me of is that television show Storage Wars, except on a larger scale. And so can you imagine? And it's not funny. I feel bad for anyone losing money or jobs because of this. So I'm very sympathetic to that. So none of this is really funny. But as I've said before, sometimes you got to laugh or you're going to cry. So in this case, I'm thinking Storage Wars, except that it's storage container wars, right? And you get people, they're going to bid on it, and like, oh, this shipping crate, they go over and they listen to it, they knock on it a couple times, and even though I know they have manifests that will tell people what's in there, what fun would that be? People just bid on the items, right? And they bid, and maybe you get lucky, and you get 50,000 pink flamingo pillows for like 25 cents each, and then you sell them for $1, and then you make money. And there's a lot of pink flamingo pillows out there, and unfortunately, China suffers for it because they've taken a huge bath on it. But imagine a show like that, and imagine a situation like that. So maybe it's not funny, and maybe we don't want to do that, and maybe I shouldn't make fun of it. But is it something that might actually happen? All right, the next news item reported by the New York Post, VBox. Yeah, we're about to see them everywhere, right? They're coming up with this. This is technology we have, but this is pandemic has really moved things forward. We are going to see these coming out already. There's an airport that uses them and a hospital that uses them, and we're going to see companies who are going to adapt and be innovative, and they're going to find ways to put those everywhere where we are. Again, like everything, we've got an event, the pandemic, we have reactions, and now we're getting another wave. So these are going to come in, and these are going to be good because this is going to help open up the country, and it's going to help open up the economy again. It's going to mean jobs for people who manufacture them, who maintain them, who set them up. That's going to be good. That's jobs, all right? And we need those jobs. And it is going to make it possible for us to open up the country faster. All right, good thing. I am super excited about it. But is this going to be the face of the future? I mean, I already know it is going to be the face of the future. These things are here to stay for a long time, maybe permanently. All right, so we already have face masks, and we've got these robots, these light bots, these UV light bots running around. I mean, it's like something out of science fiction, right? I mean, I've seen science fiction stuff from the 60s and the 70s, and we looked at that, and we're like, there's not going to be a point where everyone runs around with masks, or they run around with all these decontamination robots. But you know what? We are at that point. It's here. We are now a science fiction show because this came in the past, and it was kind of cheesy science fiction, and now it's our life. But I'm also thinking about how this is going to affect our life and these UV stations. So I can picture that now every building. I go to the theater, I have to walk through something that looks like one of the metal detectors. I have to walk through it, and it's UV lights, and I got to stand there, and I got to turn 3 circles, and they bombard me with UV, and it kills all the germs, and then I go in. All right, and I can see the staff at the counter. You get your order, you get your food, and then they run a handheld UV scanner over the counter to make sure that all the UV has been killed. I can see this being everywhere. Every building having one of these units at the doorways before you can enter the building. So that's probably a good thing. All right, so my last item I got from alot.com, and they do they do some of these, they've got a theme and they've got a lot of speculation, but 40% of the businesses are being projected that they'll probably close because of the pandemic, and that's horrible. That's a lot of people out of work, and they were predicting which restaurants were out of business. Unfortunately, one of the ones they predicted for me was Fuddruckers. Oh, and I love Fuddruckers. That is one of my absolute favorite places to go get a burger. I don't know what it is about it, but I love that place, and it's always a treat for me when I go. So that's on the list, and they're just saying that they think because of past financial problems that they're going to shut down this year. And that's beside the point. The point is we're probably going to lose about 40% of the businesses, and that's going to affect all of us. It's going to mean a lot of us will be out of work. It mean a lot less choices. It'll mean a trimming down. And like I said before, maybe, going back to kind of an earlier era where we are doing essential business and less luxury business. That might not be wholly bad, but it's definitely going to be painful as we make a transition from where we are now at a time of plenty to where we do with less because we have to. All right. So which restaurants do you love that you think are going to close? Which ones can you not do without? Or can you do without all of them? Is it something that you don't need? But I also like to think about this as kind of an adapt or die situation, and we are definitely in that. And I don't mean literally die. For companies, they'll go out of business. They need to adapt. We are going to need to adapt. All the restaurants, if they're not able to adapt, they probably aren't going to last. So we've noticed that there's some more outside dining because of the science behind it. The virus is not transmitted well outside, or not transmitted at all outside. The UV rays from the sun, everything else makes dining outside more of a viable option because of the virus. All right, so that's right. Restaurants switch to more outside dining, right? Can we see that everywhere? Kind of, we see in Europe. I think of France. I think of all those nice sidewalk cafes. Is America going to become like that? Is our dining experience on a regular basis going to be the sidewalk cafe kind of dining experience? All right, what about streamlined menus? Much more limited options. Maybe you go to the burger place, they've got 6 kinds of burgers and that's it. Fries or onion rings and a salad. And you don't want those, then you're just out of luck, because they have to stick to a streamlined menu because of the shortages in food, because it makes it faster, that you can get in and out all the faster, right? More order on phone, pick it up and go home, or go out on a picnic. All right, so are we going to go to an age where we are going to get restaurant quality food with all the fast food convenience? I don't know what strategies are the restaurants going to come that are going to succeed and that are going to stick around. And it might be tough for a while for them. I mean, it will be tough for a while, but I think a lot of businesses are going to be able to pull through with that. It's just a matter of thinking, what can we do? And you know what? And here in the United States, don't we pride ourselves on being pretty innovative? So this is going to be a challenge for us, but we are going to see a lot of success. We're going to see a lot of people rise to that challenge and make those changes, and they'll do okay. And maybe they will thrive. Even during the Great Depression, there were people who made fortunes. There were people who didn't even know the Depression was going on. Some because they did so, they were so well off to begin with, but some because they ran a business successfully and were able to adapt. So that's what we're going to do. And I'd like to take it as a sign of hope and encourage everyone that this is a tough situation, but we can overcome it. We can do better. All right. And this definitely is an age of one momentous event after another. I mean, things are happening just like never before. And I think we need to take a moment and to record our part of history. So we do have the My Historic Moment journals. Those are available online. And we have just, we have the regular one to record just whatever's happening in your life. And we have the pandemic edition. And you're like, Randy, why do we need 2? You don't need 2. Can't we just use this and write down everything that happens? Absolutely. You can use the normal one. But if you're like, you know what? I think I want to run with a theme. Good, I don't have it upside down. I want to run with a theme. I want all the stuff that has to do with the pandemic in one journal, or if you run out of stuff to write about, in 2 journals or 3 journals, but all of the material for the pandemic, all the stuff that relates to pandemic, you could definitely pick one of these up and just put the stuff happening, your thoughts, the events of your life, how it's impacting you, how it's impacting your family. You can write them all down here. And then you can refer to them later, or maybe once you're done, you're like, hey, I want to turn this into a story. And what a story that would be. And the way we have set up these journals, it makes it much easier. If at some point you want to turn it into a story, you can, because we've already laid the groundwork for it. It's a guided journal. You're able to, we give you some advice on that, and you will, even if you don't want to write a story, down the road, you're going to look back at it. So 30 years from now, 40 years from now, you're going to look at this, and this will remind you of all the stuff that you went through. All right, we do have some more journals coming out. We do have one coming out called the 2020 Election Journal. All right, I am predicting that this election is going to be like no election ever before. And you might want to record your thoughts specifically on the political stuff. Doesn't matter what side you're on. I think it's going to be, exciting. All right, that's it for this week. I hope I made you think.